Season 5 of Harley Quinn is officially over, which in a practical sense doesn't mean much. The nature of modern television means that shows don't really end anymore, they just stop being produced until someone finds a way to make money off of them again. That being said, there are rumors of a 6th season of Harley Quinn on the way, and Hailey has basically made it known that she would love to play this character forever, which in my opinion is an objectively weird thing to say, not because she shouldn't love voicing Harley Quinn, she's great at it, but because the notion of forever is inherently impossible. And yet, I kinda like the idea of Harley Quinn as a perpetual, never-ending sitcom, like The Simpsons or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where time moves forward, but nothing fundamentally changes. Harley and Ivy are the core. Everyone else, Joker, Clayface, Bane, can rotate in and out like an ever-evolving social circle. Because that's how life actually works. You have work friends, bar friends, old college friends. Some stick around, some fade away, but the central relationships, the defining ones, well, those remain. My name is Tony Bones, and I have watched 5 seasons of Harley Quinn in the past 2 months. 5 seasons. It's gotten to the point where these characters have started to feel less like fictional constructs and more like people I once knew. Like those friends you made at a summer job in college where for 3 months they were the most important people in your life and then you never saw them again. But because they still exist on the net, you sort of do see them again. You know they got engaged, you know they have a dog now, but it's a passive form of knowing. That's what watching Harley Quinn has become for me, a passive form of knowing. Now maybe if I had watched the show when it had initially come out week to week, I'd probably have a different relationship with it, possibly a more intimate one. But instead I've consumed it like a high-calorie meal, a rapid ingestion of violent absurdity and surprisingly sincere character arcs. And here's the thing, Season 5 was weird, but a good kind of weird. Season 4 was the bad kind of weird, the kind of weird that happens when a show starts to forget what made it interesting in the first place. Community fans, you know where I'm going with this. Season 4 of Harley Quinn was like the gas leak season. But here's the paradox, this show is always kind of the gas leak season. It's a comedy with a loose grip on reality, a show where people die and come back without explanation, where Gotham is both a lawless wasteland and a functioning democracy, and where Bane is somehow the most emotionally vulnerable character here. Now having said that, Season 5's conclusion was way more emotional than I expected. That final scene where Harley and Ivy are just drifting through space, slowly running out of air, it didn't make me cry, but it was an emotional scene nonetheless. And maybe it was an emotional scene because I actually don't want to see these characters go out like that, or go out at all. I would much rather have Harley Quinn run forever, fluctuating between moments of brilliance and complete absurdity, because that's what long-running TV does. It's never consistently great, but it's always there, which is somehow more important, in my opinion. Some people like things to end at the right time. Others, like myself, would rather watch it spiral into a chaotic mediocrity. But what happens in this episode, you ask? Does it matter? I mean, I guess it does, because whatever is going on in this episode is the only reason you're here. Most likely watching or listening to this while doing something infinitely more important, like eating, folding laundry, pretending to work. Well, for starters, they do get out of the bottle. Spoiler alert, Harley, Ivy, and Harley's mom all make it out. That should not be a surprise. Funny enough, someone in the comment section of my last video actually predicted the Frankette piece of the escape, which is either a testament to their deep understanding of the narrative structure, or just proof that the show isn't nearly as unpredictable as it wants it to be. Maybe even both. One thing I totally saw coming was the inevitable egotistical tug-of-war between Lex and Lena. There really was no other option, it had to go down like that. The real question was, though, how it would be executed, and honestly, I'm a little annoyed by how quickly they wrapped it up. I hate when TV shows drop a big twist in the penultimate episode, only to undercut it in the finale. Lex and Lena were teamed up for what, like 5 minutes? That's all you got for us? This is a show that will at times demonstrate an almost surgical precision in its comedy. Jokes will be constructed using clever, deep-cut references. Moments where you can tell the writers actually care about this world. And then, in that very same episode, it'll just throw in some complete nonsense just to push the narrative forward. As if we as the audience wouldn't notice this. But we do. Which brings me to the Lutheropolis piece. Or rather, the complete failure to arrive at Lutheropolis. Here's the setup. Lex and Lena Luthor, two objectively intelligent characters, team up and they're supposed to be this powerhouse sibling duo united by both their genius and their shared last name. But then Harley, in a classic Harley Quinn style move, gets them to turn on each other with the simple suggestion: Metropolis should be renamed after its rightful ruler. Suddenly, Lex and Lana are at each other's throats over whether it should be called Lexopolis or Lanaopolis. And this is where I just completely check out, because there is a glaringly obvious solution to this problem, a solution that is so painfully, ridiculously, forehead-smackingly apparent that it actively annoys me that the show doesn't acknowledge it. Lutheropolis. It's right there, it requires no extra effort. This is the kind of compromise that would make actual sense, which is why it's so frustrating that neither of them suggest it. I get that the point is to show how petty they are, but come on. Even petty people sometimes stumble on the correct answer by accident. And what bothers me the most is that this isn't even a nitpick about comic book logic or suspension of disbelief. It's just lazy writing. Because if the whole joke is that they can't agree on a name, then having them land on Lutheropolis but still bicker over whose name should come first or who gets credit for the idea would be a much sharper, funnier, and more in-character version of this exact same gag. Instead, we get a joke that only works if you assume these two supposed masterminds are too dumb to recognize the most obvious compromise imaginable. And for some reason, this just really pisses me off. I know it shouldn't bother me, but it does. Maybe it's because Harley Quinn is capable of being a brilliant TV show. It's already proven that. But moments like this make me feel like the writers don't trust their own ideas, or worse, don't think the audience will notice when they take shortcuts. But that's the thing we do notice. I notice. That being said, the show's I don't care mentality could also be seen as a strength. Harley Quinn is a show that thrives off a very specific, almost slacker genius approach to storytelling. It's fast, it's loose, it's relentlessly self-aware. It's the kind of show that will spend an entire episode deconstructing Batman's psyche, and then, in the next breath, throw out a gag so profoundly stupid, you wonder if anyone in the writer's room even read the script before it aired. Season 5 fits this description perfectly. Season 5 has this undeniable, wait, we're still doing this? Energy, like the entire creative team had already mentally packed up their desks, only to receive an email saying, "Surprise, you've been renewed!" And suddenly, everyone involved had to scramble. They even dusted off the ghost of Dean Lorry. Take this whole Lutheropolis debacle. A show with actual narrative discipline would take a moment to ask, okay, what is actually the funniest and smartest version of this joke? But Harley Quinn says no. Harley Quinn is more like the friend telling you a story at a bar. A friend who halfway through their story realizes they don't know how this ends, so they just make something up because whatever, they've already got you laughing. Now, sometimes this could lead to some genuinely inspired moments of comedy, sometimes not. And this is where the slacker mentality of Harley Quinn becomes an issue. Because if a show chooses to wink at the audience, chooses to remind the audience that it knows it's ridiculous, it should also be smarter than its own stupidity. Listen, I am not saying Harley Quinn is a stupid TV show. I'm just saying it feels weird to build a world where characters like Lex Luthor are supposed to be hyper-intelligent masterminds, despite clearly lacking basic pattern recognition. Harley Quinn, I love you, but you drive me crazy. You and I both know that the only reason this season exists is because Warner Brothers realized that they had a perfectly good Superman tie-in vehicle sitting around just in time for James Gunn's Superman movie. Only in theaters this July. And look, maybe that's cynical. Maybe the Superman stuff was always the plan. But you can't deny that there's a certain vibe to Season 5. A vibe that makes it feel like a contractual obligation masquerading as a passion project. I think this is why I find Harley Quinn as a show so fascinating. It has found a way to protect itself from real criticism by being a show that operates on vibes over logic. And those vibes are usually good. But when they aren't, when the slacker mindset drifts into outright laziness, you can't help but wonder what could have been. Maybe if a little more time was spent in the writer's room planning out Season 5, I wouldn't feel so underwhelmed here at the end. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. Who really knows? What I do know is that I will indeed be back for Season 6, eagerly watching with both high hopes and low expectations. Will you be tuning in for Season 6 of Harley Quinn? And if so, what do you think is going to happen? Feel free to drop your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. While you're doing that, I'll be taking a look at DC's upcoming film slate, because if James Gunn wants to make a movie centered around a specific DC character, we're likely to see them in Harley Quinn first.
Well, 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 if it isn't my arch rival, Racer Rabbit. Shady the Bat, you're here for the magic crystal as well?
Careful, Racer! He almost beat you last time.
I guess we'll have no choice but to battle till the very end, our hands all over each other. No homo. There is no homo that I fear. Well then, may the best homo win!
Wait, what did you say?